My name is Hannah Abouzahrah, and I'm here with Anna Norambuena to talk about archiarchal child raising. I was inspired to ask you to meet me about this topic because I'm inspired by the initiations that you yourself have gone through, the trainer that you are, and also the fact that you have two children. And so this is also part of your life that you're handling at the same time. And my first question is, what is archiarchal child raising to you?
I don't think there's one thing to share about it because, like, how I see us moving as humanity is really going through the transition into this other culture, which means like when we are walking on the bridge, we are discovering by going. And I can share with you what I have found until now, what has really marked another possibility of childcare or parenting, which is mostly moving from a modern culture way of life, of modern culture way of comforting the child to survive, to shifting into empowering the child to thrive. And what I notice working with mothers is that motherhood is very much also instinctively connected with this force in you wanting the child to survive. And it does not change over the time. So that when children are getting older and they're becoming teenagers, it does not have enough mass of offering something else than surviving, so that as a mother, then I am reinforcing the survival patterns of the children instead of empowering them in taking responsibility for their lives and to really open the wings and fly. And for mothers, this has been one of the biggest shifts from survival into empowerment that I have seen in the research about parenting and motherhood. Also being with mothers, they want to, or they are navigating towards the mother graduation, which means to really complete the phase of being a mother, which is also another distinction because in modern culture, you are the mother for your children forever. You know, that as a woman, we face children forever as children, even though they are 50. So what we have discovered is that to create a completion of this path, of this time in life, requires also a maturity in the woman itself. I distinguished the level of identification I have with the role of a mother, and I choose to complete with the motherhood consciously. So I can meet also the human being on an eye-to-eye level instead of being a mother of a child.
Yeah, thank you for that. Would you share a little bit about how it was for you, your own experience, your own journey with what you're saying about making space in yourself as the mother and how that was alongside your own children, this journey?
Make space as a mother or as
Yeah,
a
you made reference to the woman herself needing some kind of spaciousness or maturity, you said, maturity. And so I'd love to know how this evolved for you. Was this already something that you had developed, or was this developing in you as you in motherhood?
No, so my cultural tendency from the information I got from my culture where I grew up in South America, in Chile, is pretty much of a very strong parents' culture. So the parents are very strong personalities in the life of the human beings. And so the identification of being a mother is a very strong and important identification. It gives a lot of validation to my existence. And moving from there to really acknowledge that the children are not here for me. They're here to live their lives and to bring something into this world that they are bringing. It's their gifts. And in my case, it was very important for me to acknowledge struggles that the mother part in me had of wanting the children safe and making space actually for my own liquid state about the conversation of the mother with the other parts of me. For example, the part of me that is a trainer, that wants something different, wants the empowerment, wants to provide also the evolution in the human beings, the possibility of, it brings completely other possibilities than the possibilities of survival. And this brought also the liquid state about what it is to be a good mother. So how do I know that? And do I want that? And how do the children react to that? So I found this fascinating, and I am seeing this now in Ontree Centre, where we are putting the child parenthood and raising a child on the table to have an exploration about how would that look like when a child is held by a group of adults. They have really become adults. They are not older people, but they have also chosen a radical, responsible way of living. And this is waking up so many questions that we have how to do it. And so many liquid state and research, I do not believe in any technique out there. I believe researching with each other, bringing questions and intuition that we have with each other and holding space for children. And so to create the transition into something different, but we are still like in the middle of the transition. So when I hear people saying, for example, oh, your child is 10, your job is done, leave your son with the men, then I say, and what for a world do you live? Because there is nothing like the men. Yeah, there are no men. There are boys maybe around, yeah, older men. But there are not that many men that I would just leave a 10 years old boy with them. I believe, or, I'm laughing now when I say I do believe, because it is maybe a hope, I don't know. But I have the intuition that when a village is working, that something like this is possible, that the job as parents isn't complete as soon the child starts the puberty. Because then the shifting from the defensiveness into the expansion is so natural. But we are not living like specifically in reality, this is not happening yet. So if I would leave my son or my daughter just to, and they are 10 or 8 or 11 or whatever, and I will leave them with others, not initiated adults, then it will mean I will leave my children to the mercy of the survival mechanism of other people. And I don't feel any inspiration with this possibility. Even for boys, I think even for boys, when they're around initiated women or women who are in the process of initiating themselves and they are in the liquid state, they can offer more possibilities even for boys. This is what I have been witness, and this is also what I am interested in researching with the village in Ontree, for example.
Can you say a bit more about the discoveries happening at the moment for you with Ontree?
We have discovered that there is already an imprint in the adults being able to relate or not relate with young children. So, which is interesting because if someone who says to be an adult initiated person, for example, but this person cannot relate to a child freely and responsibly and loving. And so I do believe there is some work to do. So the children create interesting spaces where adults are challenged in the presence. It shows a lot about the level of presence of an adult relating to a child. And we have research, this nuclear family situation makes parents so exhausted in the presence. The muscle of presence is so exhausted that when they come into a group space, it is easy the step to give away the presence and let other adults, having the assumption or wish that other adults will step in. This is something that has been put on the table, that if I, as a non-parent, or not, for example, there are little children, my children are older now, that it does need a level of communication. Still, for us, what level of space holding is the level of space holding I want to provide as an adult woman relating to the children, and that I will not automatically take, everything in that moment. So the level of exhaustion of the nuclear family is so clear, and is so really so sad. It is sad to see mothers and fathers so exhausted with the level of life they are living. Another interesting point that we have found is that it seems like one of the memes of modern culture is that you do not intervene with other people's parenting methods. So if you see, for example, a very young child handling a dangerous knife, if I see this as an adult person, I will most probably check with the parents first instead of going and relate to the child.
Mm.
And so this is something that I have experienced very often in my life in family coachings, is that as soon a situation happens that triggers, or I'm feeling something emotional, or I'm feeling something about what is happening, that it can go into, well, that is not my child, so I cannot bring this. I cannot bring this information. If the parents are present, they are responsible for the child. Which I found so sad, because as we found, the parents are also, to a certain degree, as we all are, numb to certain things. For example, these parents did not feel enough fear to sense the danger that the child was having, even though they trusted the child very much. But a young body can just not handle dangerous tools often inappropriately.
Mm.
What we have found that is the meme in modern culture
I see.
is that adults will not relate to the child, will give the responsibility to the parents and not intervene when they are feeling something about the child or about what the child is doing or not doing. Yeah, they will make it, it's none of my business. Parenting is a very sensitive topic, and receiving or giving feedback is a dangerous territory, which is sad, because this is where we get to change something about the results we are seeing with our children.
I feel scared and sad about it too, because I have a lot of interaction with parents, and some of my recent interactions have been about feedback or noticing what happens is reaction, not wanting the information or not being able to assimilate the information because of this sensitivity, this high sensitivity to what I sense is being told that they're doing something wrong, or this is how it lands most often, I find.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I feel sad about it because, as you said, it's somewhere that a lot of change could happen for the evolution of parenting and child raising, which for me is a really important topic. We're raising children to become the next generation and bringing the next culture with them. They will create the future
Yeah,
culture.
totally. I mean, this is, in possibility management, we talk about replacing yourself. So this is also a way of replacing yourself. It is you, when you have children, you have the possibility to give seeds for evolution to happen or repetition of box survival life. I believe is one of the most important fields of research we have because they are carrying on with whatever the bigger research or the evolution in the field is. It's easy to reproduce as human beings. I believe the possibility to learn being a parent is huge. The initiation that I have gone being a mother are not comparable with any other initiation, like the extremity, the intensity, the liquid state in all of my bodies, I cannot say has been more intense in any other area of my life. And I think this is something that is by choice. It is easy to reproduce yourself, but really being conscious, evolve conscious parenting is such a challenge because there are no role models, there are no hints out there. But we have a machete opening new paths, and as soon we go, they grow up again. So I think it's a very challenging area of human life.
Are there any hints you could give parents from your experience?
Yes, if I would go now again through building a family, I think the main thing is I would have created the village already. Creating a village is the most necessary shift that is needed to create a space for human beings to evolve really insanity, to evolve with the creative force instead of constantly surviving. Because also the parents, between them, there's a huge liquid state already between mother and father. It's just to the child, but the relating from a man and a woman becoming parents is also a huge liquid state. So much for us to discover and navigate and heal and transform. Without a village, I found I cannot see the possibility right now.
Mm. I resonate with that a lot. If I were to have a second child, I would want a village after the pain of this nuclear family child raising, which is insanity, feels like.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's so artificial in our resources. It
Mm.
is a modern culture creation, having the nuclear family situation.
Mm. Yeah, and it's exhausting.
And it does create something lazy because when your children are getting older, then you are done with this. And then it is like, I don't have anything to do anymore with child raising. So this is it's your turn, but I'm done. And I think this is such a lazy attitude because you want to harvest fruits in your garden, you want to harvest veggies. Well, you must take care of the seedlings. There's no other way.
I want to share something that relates to that for me. I have a lot of pain, mostly fear, when, for example, I go into a space where there are other adults, probably usually from modern culture. So this one example that I'm sharing from was I had gone into a celebration space on Christmas Day, and I didn't know many people there. I took Evelyn, my daughter, who's 2 years and 10 months old. I could immediately feel my fear in the space, my fear of people not being able to set boundaries for themselves or with Evelyn. Also, this fear of the missing communication that is not there when the village is not established, all these new people in the space. That was also exhausting for me to navigate this line of how much do I follow my child around the whole space to be able to set boundaries, not only for her, but also with other people. And this is where then I question, am I rescuing the other person from being able to set their own boundaries, or is this me really, reading the room? I had several individual conversations about
Mm-hmm.
setting boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and if I could have been bolder, I would have addressed the whole space and made a proposal. And this was not available for me. This was not the step I was able to take.
In
And
real time, you mean?
in real
But
time,
now, afterwards, you access the possibility.
I had the possibility, but the fear was too high in the space to
Oh, I
address the
see.
whole room. And so my navigation was with individuals and also having feeling spaces for myself to go through my fear and my sadness about the navigation that I was having, which was really challenging. And what I'm learning is a lot is about boundaries, people not actually being able to set boundaries for themselves, or this thing that you mentioned about this is my child, and maybe they're scared to set boundaries with my child because they see that as my job.
Well, this is exactly what I was like trying to illustrate, that in modern culture, adults have forgotten to relate with children if they are not their own children, or the friends, sometimes the friends of your children, like if it's not your own world. But they have forgotten to relate to them, because I think it goes beyond making boundaries. Speaking with children, saying hello and acknowledging them as human beings, they are there in the space. Very often children are not addressed, for example,
Mhm.
in greetings, situations, or asking them, like, I want to pick you up. Can I pick you up? It's okay for you. But picking up the child straight away, like, it is so overriding the relating. And or it's the opposite, about giving the children the whole attention and not be able to relate any longer with the other adults. The whole spectrum between these two polarities. I believe in this, and with the development of modern culture, there have been like an outsourcing of education. When it's not my own children, then I do not take care responsibility of what the child, what I see, basically, because I will be feeling something, and not interfering will mean that I will not challenge you, because this is unpolite. This is not polite to tell you, I see this danger, or I don't like this, or don't do this. And so this is one thing that we did, for example, in Ontree, where I say, look, I can I will intervene, and it will be uncomfortable for you, and for sure it will be uncomfortable for me too. But if life is about being comfortable, then it's not much to grow. There is no, we don't grow when it's comfy. So going together in an agreement that is basically okay to be uncomfortable, and keep asking each other those questions, and keep making the experiments of creating a new field for children to grow up. There is not just related to the parents, because it does make a difference for children when they have a range of adults and different adult lives to connect with. And so you can live life like this or like this. There's so many ways of living life. So definitely something to grow into. So it excites me. Yeah, I found this is a great possibility to have fun also together.
Mhm.
But it will mean that I do take responsibility for every single children too.
Mhm. There's a piece that you mentioned that I'm picking up on about discomfort, that it would be uncomfortable for you and the other person by intervening or following your feelings and acting where the child is
Mm.
concerned. Do you have, could you say anything more for people stepping onto the bridge from modern culture to something different, possibly archiarchy? What could you say to those parents about this discomfort?
One of the biggest liquid states and one of the biggest growth steps into leaving the culture that is offered out there, what we call modern culture, is to create and navigate and to really feel or choose a rapid learning environment, which is an environment that you choose in creating actions and navigating feedback. If it's the feedback is a feedback that, shows you, yeah, it is working what you do, or no, is it not working what you do? You are not creating that what you want, you are creating something different, and the results never lie. So it is impossible to fool yourself. Although we humans being are very, very skillful in fooling ourselves. But if you look into the result will never lie. So by accessing and connecting with people who are moving in such an environment where it's okay to make experiments that are not working, and it is okay to try things out, it is okay to experiment, that you as a mother, you don't have to be perfect. It is not at all about being perfect. It's about being adult and being authentic. It is about being okay with not knowing and coming with the not knowing to another person that might have possibilities for you to navigate. Shifting into this, it will relieve already a lot of the pressure that exists in modern culture to be a perfect parent, because basically the child shows what for a parent you are, right? In modern culture, your child can also be a symbol of who you are. So if your child is not working properly, it will comes, it reflects on you. So many parents choose to press the child into serve the conventions of what is needed, in society, because this shows, they are successful. I was a good parent. And if you are interested in empowering your child, this is for sure not the way to go to serve conventions, because conventions are created by other people. They are created by companies. In modern culture, conventions are created by profit-making machines. So you want to serve conventions, well, you can do that. I don't find it so interesting. So this growing into a culture, like connect with other people who are interested in giving feedback and are interested in receiving feedback, even though this might first cause an emotional reaction and it's difficult to navigate, but so that we can give and accept each other's gold. We have so much gold for each other. Why not use it?
Mm. Mm. I long for that with other parents. And whilst I have that with parents who are more stepped into the possibility management world and using these distinctions and, creating archiarchy, I also long for that with the friends and parents that I have who are not stepping in, you know, making more steps in that world. This is really the area I'm having challenges with at the moment. I feel scared, as you said, some people will want that and some people won't. I'm scared to maybe lose these people if they don't want that. Or how do I navigate being in integrity with myself if I do not say something that I see with these people? Yeah, I'm scared of navigating that territory.
It's a good question, and it belongs to the part of the transition in that we are, because it is basically everywhere then. And I do value the challenges when we are in environments they are not a rapid learning environment, because it challenges us in the creativity to build such spaces. This is your field where you flourish, where your personal and professional research is based. And I think creating the possibility for parents to consciously choose to enter a space like that, I don't know how it could be called, yeah, but a space like that where you offer a space for research of parenthood could already be a space where it is okay to feel emotions when you get feedback, and really train that. So we need to train this. This is completely damaged from school life, because receiving feedback is just equals to die, basically, to get killed with critique. So it is a development. It requires focus, it requires practice to shift into something different. And if it's not, you have so much choosing possible. You can do so many things. And yeah, to stop relating. You stop relating with people that want something different as you, because fair enough, they want something different. It's completely clear. I would put it on the table. If they don't want it, well, then you can choose to stop relating to these people. You can choose to keep going, keep creating possibilities. There are so many possibilities here to choose from, also in the small now. You can choose to be with them and love them and not move into any other direction in no relationship, but in loving them only. Yeah, so I think it's really depending what you want.
Thank you. Somebody gave me a possibility recently about, instead of saying something, that to simply re-center myself, holding the space so that something else can emerge, not necessarily with words.
I found it powerful to give feedback is one possibility. Making proposals is another possibility. And asking questions is another possibility. I'm very often interested why people do the thing that they are doing. And then I wonder, like I ask them, so like, your child is walking with a broken piece of glass and you are not doing anything. Did you see that? Or are you okay with that? So how come you are okay? Because my first impulse is to go to the child, but you are not doing this. So what is going on in your world that you see this so differently? Because I feel scared. And to being in this authentic inquiry, I find this very often door opening to have deeper connections and, like aha moments together.
Thank you. I immediately go into like, and I wonder, so it must be the way that I'm bringing what I'm bringing, because I can just imagine defensiveness coming straight away, even with this, this question. Um, Maybe partly it's also because of this highly sensitive space between parents, this kind of ready to attack if anything is to come my way. And so then
But are
yeah.
you okay with people being reactive?
No,
Because it's
no,
nothing bad, it's just people being reactive.
no, the last couple of interactions have shown I'm not okay, because then actually I don't know where to go next. It's like that, because they are
Okay.
not okay. They are not okay with the reaction. And I'm not okay with causing them to not be okay, something like this.
But
It's
why not?
relates to this fear of losing them, fear of them blaming me for bringing whatever is causing this reaction. I think it relates to me being scared of not being liked, scared they think my intentions
Are not good.
something other than wanting to empower them or share something I see that they do not want. But because of this emotional reaction, the space becomes tricky to navigate. I am not skilled in bringing distinctions about what is happening. Also, on the other side, what often happens is it's taken as my belief or opinion. This is the territory I'm currently navigating in bridging spaces like that.
You know, like comes or reduces interaction with other human beings as having two possibilities, basically. You have the possibility to survive or to be authentic. These possibilities open different nuances. It is you having the real relationship with these people or not having a relationship with them. So if you cannot bring those things that you are passionate about and noticing, then if you cannot do this because they might leave, so you, in the moment when they stay with you, it's not you making relationship with them. So it does not make any sense to what you call a relationship. It's not really a relationship. It's just a box connection.
Mm.
I think one part of moving into this territory of another kind of parenthood is being okay with being uncomfortable when I am uncomfortable and you are uncomfortable. But if we are not willing to be uncomfortable, how the heck would we want to grow? This is not possible. If the child cannot meet a frustration, how can the child develop the skill? Yeah, so if it's learning to make the laces of the shoes or putting butter on a piece of bread, the child will be frustrated when it's not working well because it's incompetent. And what do many parents do is to rescue the child and put like suddenly the butter on the bread or do the shoelaces so the child is okay, instead of letting the child really go through this level of frustration that it requires, they are required for learning. And the same with adults, we go through frustration that we are doing our best and very often it's not working.
Mm.
But okay, keep doing the same thing, hoping for new results, and then you have the same thing happening over and over again in your life. And the first years with the children are so important. They make the relationship to go through the liquid state in the puberty. So there is your best time to create real relationship with the children. If you have fake relationship with the children when they are small, well, good luck into the teenager years.
I'm interested in what you just said about the relating in the younger years helps with the liquid state when they become teenagers.
They're really learning to relate. It's a radical relating field that a child is offering. A child is so wide open, and the level of authenticity that you have with this child in the first 7 years when the box forms, yeah, and all the survival mechanism goes in place, also including all the rules that you have how life should be lived. We do this, we do that, we do this in that way and not in this way. Well, so all of this authentic relating forms the relationship that I have as a basis with my child, that it just grows like exponentially into the teenager years. When my son, for example, or my daughter, whatever, they have a challenging time, the challenge, the liquid state that they are going through or we are going through relies of a solid relationship, a real relationship, not a fake relationship, but it's a real relationship where I did not disappear as a woman, for example, or with my other parts to make just the mother possible. I implemented my relating to the children Also sharing with them my experience as an empowered woman, or how it is to love your job, or being able to change your mind from A to Z about something that it was important before and is not important now, or ending relationships that are toxic, and taking care of your energetic space too. So when the children have access to this level of relating with you, when you take them seriously, that this is not, they are not cute pets, they are not cute like toys, but you are empowering the children since they are little, then their relationship with you will carry on during these challenging times in the puberty. They are completely unexpected. So many things can happen because the whole physical body is manifesting the liquid state that is in the energetic body. The whole physical body is a building site, and the energetic body too. All the energetic bodies, the emotional body and the mental body, all is changing. And to take this liquid state to empower children to expand, it is so inspiring to me to be close to my son, for example, now that he's in this phase, or my daughter entering. So with faking means, I mean, really, how authentic can you be with your child? With all of your parts, how much can you feel? How much are you present? Have you learned to negotiate with your child? Have you learned to relate to other children? Are you available? Are these other parts of you available in parenthood? Just to mention that also the relationship, because I see that it also goes the other way around. When the relationship has not been established authentically and solid enough in childhood, it tends to exponentially grow into disconnection later on. So it is like the teenager years amplify the quality of relationship you had in the childhood with your child.
Thank you for that. Nothing else is bubbling through me, so this is coming to an end. What I want to hear from you as a final piece is anything, anything you might have, like piece of gold, a nugget that comes through you that you would like to share as your final words to parents.
I want to highlight this possibility we have as adult people to learn to relate to all children, and shifting into the inner work required to open up to children and feel joy about them, be interested in who they are and what are they doing, and this, not just with the on one, and not just if you have children or not, like completely independent of your personal situation, taking care in general of the level of responsibility in this space, also towards children, and not blocking them out. If we all do that, something else could be possible, because the level of care and responsibility will change through the level of responsibility we are taking as a village. And the other thing that is coming to me is that I have one of the liquid state also that we have been exploring in Ontree has been this experience of children being an inconvenience, and that the nature of children is to take the space over, right? The nature of children is to mix spaces. blob everywhere and fill the space with themselves. It requires this level of presence as an adult to take care of the quality of space you are creating with your child. The more quality you create in being with your child, the more, the relaxation is happening in the child by meeting you with this quality of presence, so that other spaces are possible too, where just adult spaces, for example, are happening. Yeah. But so there is something I have been noticing in many, many adults relating to children in being an inconvenience. And I want to name that because I think it is revealing the part of us that it's gone lazy in taking care of how much presence a child is calling for, right? And somehow it inspires me. It inspires me into this exploration.
What you're saying is that it is possible to have adult spaces with children present.
I will say it is possible to have adult spaces with children present, and it is possible to have adult spaces that are not interrupted by children if you give the children enough quality in your presence. Because this is the energetic nourishment of children, is your presence. If you are giving them just spaghetti and they're hungry, they are not gonna support you willingly in creating adult spaces. They will sabotage them because they are hungry of presence.
I sense there's also something there about boundaries. What you're saying is landing about the presence, the quality of presence that enables this negotiation to happen. And then also holding and practicing the boundary setting with the children.
Yeah, although I found more powerful or inspiring to work with distinctions than with boundaries. I mean, boundaries are necessary, yeah, with children anyways, yeah. But distinctions for me more empowering, because if I as a mother, for example, don't really inhabit the distinction that my life is also about other things. I have many parts, and one of them is being a mother. And one another very important is to be a researcher. And one other very important is to be a partner. So you have many parts. But if I do squash all of these parts for just being a mother, if this is not alive in me because I have then guilty feelings or whatever mixed emotions might come up, or belief system that does not allow myself to be or to rest, for example. How many mothers don't allow themselves to rest? Because as a mother, you should be available always. If you don't have this internal distinction that the child can, that this is alive in you, that resting is part of life, the child will not support that. You will start to make boundaries from outside. But if you inhabit that this is also something you create in your life, because this is part of what you have chosen, then the child will start to develop, with frustration, their patience in waiting. Children cannot wait at the beginning. It's impossible for them to wait. They have no notion of time. So waiting is eternal. But with time, they learn.
Yeah, thank you. So what you're saying is about living the distinction from inside. It's not necessarily about landing a distinction in the child, but more from living it.
Yeah, living it you will do. Yeah, for example, these children have this phase where they are very jealous of the father, of the mother, from the same sex. Yeah, so if it's a boy, then doesn't want the papa to kiss the mama. And if you do not make jokes about it, if you take this seriously and say, Papa and Mama are also a woman and a man in relationship. They care and they love each other and they show the love. If you don't make the jokes about it, what normally people do, yeah, they even provoke the children to have this reaction because they find this cute, then this will create in the child an energetic information that they will get in resonance with. So it is not just a boundary of you stay there, you don't come here because we are busy. It's not that, but it belongs to life. So you shape the energetic field differently with distinctions. And for me, I'm more powerful and more interesting because negotiation can happen then.
Yeah. We close here.